What's up, y'all? It's your boy Dave. We back with another reaction video. Today we're reacting to RAM. I said RAM. What the fuck am I talking about? RAM prices are worse than you would imagine. I ain't gonna lie, I've been hearing like a lot of shit. Them niggas been talking about RAM getting bad, RAM getting crazy. Do 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 do. And low key, I've been seeing them prices. I saw like a stick of DDR5 32 gigabytes was like $600. I couldn't believe that shit. That shit was fucking wild. But with that being said, shit, like a subscriber, try to get some 1,000 subscribers. Let's see how crazy these RAM prices are really getting, for real.
This is Tyler, and he's got a huge problem. See, Tyler just finished working his third month part-time at McDonald's, scrimping and saving bananas to buy his own computer.
That's what I did, nigga. I ain't gonna lie. I put my first, not my first two, but when I put like literally a whole month. My PC, that shit cost me a whole month of working at McDonald's. No cap, nigga. Shit was crazy.
It's a tough gig balancing high school and work, but he's determined to stop gaming on his shitty Lenovo ThinkPad. So he saves up a nice pile of bananas, living off cafeteria.
And mind you, I bought a pre-built and I still had to buy other shit to put inside the pre-built to make it fucking like actually like regular and useful. I had to buy a new GPU and a new motherfucking NVMe slot. Mind you, bro, the goddamn GPU that I bought, that's just still low-key ass. So I'm about to buy another one after, but shit alright though.
Food and leftovers. And finally, he hits his local Best Buy, excitedly picking out the parts for his brand new battle station. He reaches the RAM section and
yeah, you gonna piss blood when you see them RAM. But this monkey gonna piss blood when you see them RAM prices, bro. No cap.
his heart sinks. He looks at a 32 gig kit of RAM in disbelief. He could
You gotta go 16, buddy. You gotta go for that 16. 16 just as good. It's just as good as 32. Yeah.
have sworn it was never this expensive. Hell, this one kit alone cost the same as a graphics card. But Tyler's not alone. At the counter, groups of angry monkeys are demanding answers. And honestly, they're right to be mad. Because for some monkeys, just adding 16 gigs of RAM now costs more than a brand new PS5. At that point, Tyler might as well spend his
At that point, buy the PS5, nigga. Shit, I ain't gonna lie. Should buy that motherfucker.
hard-earned bananas on a console instead. So what happened? How did RAM prices start rising faster than gold in just a few months? And more importantly, how does this affect the future of home computing? This is the global
I think the prices are gonna drop back down eventually, honestly. But right now, it's not looking good at all.
memory crisis explained. But before we talk about the death of consumer computing, if you like what you see, this video is generously bankrolled by the Banana Republic. Join us today to enjoy sponsor and ad-free videos earlier than everyone else. It helps the team keep the lights on and reduces our reliance on sponsors to keep the channel going. Thank you all, and back to the video. So, let's talk about RAM. Specifically, both flavors of RAM, and yes, you have both kinds in your computer at home. First, DRAM, short-term memory. This is the working memory of your computer, which allows your computer to, well, compute. See, everything from opening browser tabs, running games, editing videos requires DRAM. More DRAM means smoother multitasking, better performance, and less lag during day-to-day use. Next, NAND is another flavor of RAM that's equally important. Because NAND is the memory that lives inside your SSDs, phones, and USB drives, which your files, apps, games, photos, and other data actually exist for storage. But the thing is that computers need both kinds of memory in order to function as we know them today, which is also unfortunately why they're in such high demand. And when demand for these explodes and manufacturers can't keep up, RAM and SSDs both get more expensive for regular monkeys.
And the reason why they can't keep up is because these big-ass corporations are buying the shit for AI, which I ain't gonna lie, I've been hearing that motherfucking bubble gonna pop, bro. And when that shit pop, it's over. Well, not over, but
But what do the numbers actually look like? Let's go back to Tyler. He's still in Best Buy, shell-shocked by the realization that his dream PC build was shattered before his eyes. Because of the crazy rise in prices, Tyler would have to work a couple more months at McDonald's just to afford the parts. And by then, who is to say the prices won't rise even higher? Hell, some big tech companies have even forecasted that things will get worse over the next couple of months. See, a 32 gigabyte kit of DDR5 has now tripled in price in just 1 year.
damn. That's diabolical, nigga. That's crazy.
But it's not just RAM. SSDs and even old-school hard drives are getting more and more expensive too. And because of the crazy increase in prices, many consumers like Tyler are finding themselves priced out of having a PC of their own. And the culprit behind this astronomical rise in prices? The usual suspects, big tech and AI. Here's what monkey means. At this point, everyone's heard of data centers, but what goes on inside those dystopian buildings are what we should be concerned about. Because without going into too much detail, AI data centers run like mega computers on steroids. Inside, they can...
And not only do they like run like mega computers on steroids, to cool them motherfuckers, you have to literally like pump huge amounts of water. And I heard like it literally like what's the word? Like they smell like shit too. Like it's just fucking overall terrible for the environment. No cap.
continuously run AI models on thousands of GPUs. And each of these buildings require thousands of RAM kits and countless terabytes of NAND storage. Multiply that by the numerous data centers popping up all over the jungle, and you'll realize why the demand for RAM and SSDs are skyrocketing. Just a single AI cluster can gobble up as much memory as millions of PCs. But the real question is, who's responsible for this massive AI data center push? Look no further than the Silicon Valley Mafia. Big names. OpenAI, Microsoft, and Google are all in on this, signing massive contracts with memory manufacturers that will squeeze supply even further. Hell, OpenAI alone has claimed that their Stargate project could consume up to 40% of the entire world's DRAM production. And just a reminder, this company has publicly admitted it won't be profitable till 2030, which...
What the fuck? How did they let that shit slide? Damn! They're not gonna be making no money off this shit till 2030, but they're gonna squeeze 40% of the world's memory supply, like, for 10 plus fucking years? Or 2026? Like 4 years? Damn!
Definitely isn't cause for concern. For our full video on that, click here. But what's terrifying about all this is that these huge tech firms and manufacturers are working together to cut the end consumer out of the memory market. Corporate buyers are not just buying up a couple of months' supply, they're effectively reserving production years in advance. And on the supplier side, they would never turn down such a windfall. Companies like Samsung and Micron would be insane to leave billions of bananas on the table. Speaking of this...
All to, supply RAM to other fucking people. They'd rather just like supply to big ass corporations and get all that money, rather supply to everybody else, which is economically smart, but it's like, damn, we're cooked, we're fried.
Suppliers, they naturally start shifting their production to cater to the growing AI demand. Instead of producing DRAM like we're familiar with, they start producing memory tailor-made for use in servers and data centers. Because of this, consumer RAM and SSDs dwindle in supply for the end consumers like us, because big tech can pay more and are willing to commit to long contracts. But if it's just supply and demand, manufacturers could just build more factories, right? The problem with that is that suppliers are concerned that oversupply would lead to price crashes. And when you couple that with the fact that investing in just a single new facility could take years to build, you'll start to see why suppliers like Micron are full-on exiting the consumer memory market to focus on corporate clients. Just imagine airlines selling every seat on every plane for the next 3 years to a handful of corpo monkeys. Sure, you can still fly, but only if you're willing to pay business class prices for the terrible seats they don't want. That's close to how RAM and storage work right now. And that's how we end up with Tyler, caught between the growing demands of AI, big tech, and manufacturers more.
This monkey man is fucking fried, bro. Even if you worked more years at McDonald's, he ain't making that shit. He ain't gonna make enough to catch them RAM, bro. He's cooked. He's fried.
More than happy to leave the consumer in the dust. And as he'll soon realize, his problems don't end there. He heads to the laptop section, hoping to pick up at least something with his savings. Even there, prices aren't much better. See, because of the growing RAM shortage and memory being gobbled up by only a handful of tech companies, even other companies that produce consumer hardware are caught in the crossfire. Because when RAM and SSD prices rise, this pushes up the costs for hardware manufacturers that rely on these components too. And this affects practically all kinds of smart devices we know. Think laptop makers, console manufacturers, even phone companies. All of them face higher memory costs. Costs which will inevitably be passed on to the consumer. Consumers like Monkey, like you, like Tyler. The very way that we interact with consumer electronics and tech will change, and not for the better. Just the crazy spike in DDR5 RAM alone is a big deal, where upgrading a PC now borders on the realm of semi-luxury. But this is an even bigger issue for monkeys in the creative industry. Monkeys talking video editors, artists, sound engineers, developers, and many more will have to face rising costs of just doing our jobs. But it doesn't stop at upgrades. New laptops and devices rolling off the line are...
Here's a problem with all this shit though. Who's gonna stop it? This shit not gonna stop. Like, we could talk about it and be like, oh my god, RAM's going up, this, that, and the third, but that's not gonna stop. No, that's not gonna stop shit. So I don't even like, this almost feels kind of pointless, but like, you still get to know about it though.
being quietly redesigned around this new memory economy. More and more devices may ship less RAM, maybe 8 gigabytes by default, maybe 16 gigabytes if you pay extra, and that memory is often soldered straight onto the motherboard. The configuration you pick on day one is the ceiling you live under for the life of the machine. At the same time, these devices lean harder on smart cloud features. On paper, you're getting AI-powered everything. But in practice, you're getting a weaker device that's running on someone else's hardware. You can feel the consequences everywhere. It's the film student waiting overnight for their project to render because they couldn't afford more RAM. Or the indie dev quitting because they can't afford new devices to run modern engines. Maybe even the school IT admin being forced to choose between fewer decent PCs or more underpowered ones, all while fully aware that either choice leaves some kids behind. Because technology is so deeply rooted in our lives, a sudden rise in the price of essential components doesn't stay inside a spec sheet. It ripples into classrooms, studios, offices, and living rooms in ways most monkeys never see coming. That's the ugly truth behind insane RAM prices. It's not just a jagged line on a market chart. It's a slow narrowing of who actually gets to access real computing power. A finer line between the mega corporations and everyone else, where countless terabytes of memory are diverted into racks of machines you'll never see, owned by companies you only see on the news, chasing an AI future you're told to be grateful for, even though so much of it still struggles to turn a profit.
And not only turn a profit, a lot of these AI tools are fucking terrible. Like, they're not good. Generally, just not fucking good. So it's like, they're just putting all this money and effort into a product that is actually just ass. Which is crazy.
So Monkey has to wonder, what happens to creativity and experimentation when a decent personal computer starts feeling like a luxury item? If your first laptop already wheezed on 8 gigabytes of RAM, imagine buying a shiny modern model and discovering you're still stuck with 8 gigabytes. Not because engineers can't do better, but because the decent memory was spoken for. Long before you walked into the store, locked into multi-year contracts feeding AI data centers. But it's not over yet. Monkeys can stand up to this in a couple of different ways. When your government announces new chip subsidies or AI innovation funds, that's your cue to speak to your representatives. Raise concerns about how these subsidies are going straight to the bottom lines of the mega corporations, at the detriment of consumer tech. Second, push for transparency on mega contracts. When big tech signs multi-year deals to hoard memory, it may not be front-page news. But you can pressure MPs to investigate. Are these deals starving everyone else of supply and driving up prices? And finally, vote with both your voice and your wallet on upgradable devices. Support right-to-repair campaigns. When schools or governments announce laptop programs, demand user-replaceable RAM and standard modules. If a manufacturer ships only soldered, disposable machines, call it out and buy elsewhere when you can. Framework is a great example of this. Check them out. Of course, none of this fixes the market overnight.
I'm saying this is all great and good, but that's not fixing shit overnight. Like, it's gonna take years for that to actually have any real effect. Okay.
But it definitely shines a light on the anti-consumer manner this industry is headed. And Monkey can only hope that with enough backlash, it'll eventually pressure the mega corporations to reverse course. So the next time you see prices rising in the tech space, you'll know what's going on behind the scenes. If any monkeys are confused, just remember that this is a simple explainer on the anti-consumer practices happening in big tech. Please do not sue Monkey. And a huge shout out to the Banana Republic for
Yeah, don't sue Monkey. Don't do that. What the fuck? Why we suing Monkey?
generously bankrolling these videos. You're all truly wonderful, and we'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, this was tough as fuck. I'm on live. With that being said, make sure you like and subscribe. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully RAM prices go back down sometime soon. You know what I'm saying? Because what if I need some RAM? You know what I'm saying? I might be fried. I mean, my PC is kind of new, so it might not need like new RAM like anytime soon. But still, you know, you never know. I'm saying hopefully y'all can get some RAM too at some reasonable prices. But with that being said, make sure you like and subscribe. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I'll catch y'all next one we out.